Hey, what's up guys? It's Art Book Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist journey video. So today, we're going to be talking about the willingness to change, okay? So, artists are stubborn people, right? Like, that is just inherent to who we are, right? Society and everybody in the outside world wants art to die, right? With AI and everything, and no money, blah, 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 blah. And then there's the artist who says like, hey, fuck you, this shit is divine and I want to make it, right? And that makes things very difficult for us, right? And it could kind of keep us in a locked position, right? A position where, in a strange way, we refuse to change, right? And like we're hunkered in, right? And like there's certain things that, of course, you don't want to change. Those things, some things that are core to our being, and art is definitely part of that core being, right? But you know, we live in a world that changes, right? And we live, in the human position, right? Which entails change no matter what, right? So the real question is like, the positive change versus the negative change, right? And your willingness to go with it, right? So as an artist, right, I believe that change is very good, right? Experimentation, right? Changing something up, changing up what you're doing, right? Changing mediums, right? Switching things up can be very helpful to keep things fresh, right? And I've spoken on this before, but I think the willingness to change yourself, right, as you age, as you change yourself as a human being, right? I think it's very important, right, to allow those things to happen, right? I think a lot of people in this world grow very stagnant, right? I know people who are like, in their early 20s, and like they might as well just be boomers, dude. You get what I'm saying, right? And I know old people who still do new things all the time, right? Dude, this is like when I was in Korea, I met this old woman, Cheryl, right? She's like 65 years old, right? And she's exploring the world by herself, right? And her mind was so fresh, dude, right? She was like, she's still doing new challenges. Clearly, this whole thing was probably very frightening to her, right? But she was doing it, dude. And I found that very, very inspirational. You know what I mean? That age doesn't really, control like how one's mind is, right? Like the willingness to do something new, to try something new, to change your life, right? To do something a little bit different, right? And I just found it extremely inspirational, and like I really wanted to like use that energy and imbue it into myself, so that when I'm her age, right, that I'm still doing new stuff, trying new things, experiencing new cultures, maybe learning new languages. Who fucking knows, right? Japanese is hard as fuck, right? So who knows, like maybe this will just be the infinite language for me, right? But who knows, maybe I'll learn fucking like German or some shit one day, right? The world is open for that, right? And I'm also open for that, right? And that's another thing, being open to change, right? That's, I think, the most important part, right? I feel like people are one of two things in this world: open or closed, right? Now, if you're open, right, you have an expanded viewpoint, right? Your world is bigger, right? Things are possible, right? Things are like something random could happen, and you're like, whoa, like okay, I'm in this now, right? And like when you're in that flow, right, you feel the winds of the world, right? The flow of the universe, right? Just to keep it like a little bit more abstract, right? and they guide you to things that you never expect, right? When you're closed, right, your world is much smaller, right? Very contained, very controlled, right? Everything is predictable, you know what I mean, right? And like there's comfort in that, right? There's a lot of comfort in that, but it makes it so that you don't experience new things, right? That that sense of safety can be a trap for you, right? And that you're kind of stuck in this like superposition, just, you know, locked, right? And that's when you are immune to change, right? And like, you know, changing your life, you know, like maybe you're in a grind, maybe you're in what people will consider a positive grind, right? However, right, when you're stuck in that position, you do not evolve anymore. You become closed off, right? Your circle of people becomes smaller, right? And your worldview becomes smaller, right? You're locked into, like, a lot of people, they're like, here's my home, here's my job, I go from here, and then I go here, and then maybe I go to the gym, and maybe I do this, and it's just, you're just locked, dude, right? And life becomes stale that way, right? And what I've always been a proponent of is like crazy change really fast, right? In my experience, life changes, and it's like okay, so it's like steady, and then boom, like craziness, right? But most of the time, that's from my own choice. You know what I mean? Other times, it's like something crazy happens unexpected, right? And usually those are negative. You know what I mean, right? But the thing is, like, those things could also be positive. You know what I mean, right? For the negative things, you know, you could use it as a moment, right? It's like a bullet hitting a piece of concrete, right? Now that concrete is like softened, right? Now it's weaker, right? But in that weakness, now you could patch it up, right, with something new, right, to change yourself a little bit, right? And like, you know, you want to use those moments to, like, when you become more flexible, to instill better changes, to do something that you wanted to do, or like do something new, or like do something unexpected, right? And those things are very good for you. You know what I mean, right? Of course, if you're constantly changing, always, all the time, right? That's not good either. Then you have no stability. Then you're not building anything, right? Then you're just kind of like, oh, I guess I'll do this. Oh, I guess I'll do this. Oh, I'll do that, right? You know what I mean? There's a balance between these things, right? And you want to instill good changes with good habits, right? Of course. And that's like that's very cliche. I don't want to just like stay with that, right? But all these things can really enrich your art, okay? Enrich your work, right? So what you want stable, right? Your work ethic. You go into the canvas, right? Okay, repeatedly, again and again and again, very disciplined with that, right? And then your life experiences, okay, or your experiences in general, you can vary that up a little bit, right? Of course, you have the things you need to do, right, to live, right? But sometimes, like, go like, woo, you know, just kind of like, you know, like throw a random dart and then spin the wheel, right? And then something, woo, you don't know what's gonna happen, right? And be open to weird things, okay, right? That doesn't mean like oh, there's a guy coming in with a white van and says, hey, get in here, kid, you want some candy? You know, like, don't fucking do that. That's stupid, right? But maybe go somewhere new, right? And then like kind of just like go around and be like, and then just kind of stay there. Like, you'll be uncomfortable, right? You'll be very uncomfortable. Whenever I go to a new country, like I'm scared as shit, and I'm like oh, like am I gonna be okay, right? And then like, you know, I eventually find people who are also open-minded, and then like we have a really great experience. You know what I mean? And that kind of like refreshes my soul, right? So you want to do that as a person. You want to do that as an artist, right? Refreshing your soul, meet new people, right? Try new things, and then like this will give you really great material that you could use in your work, right? An artist must have experience so that their stories can flourish, right? Their stories, their artworks, whatever, right? You want to be vibrant, fresh, juicy, like a piece of really fresh fruit, okay? And to refresh yourself, okay? Like sometimes your fruit kind of like, it kind of wilts, kind of dries, right? Kind of gets all crusty, right? You want to insert that good juice, right? Okay, oh, now I'm good, right? And now that juice can be used in your artwork, right? And this will allow your artwork to regain a sense of life to it, right? And then you could reinvest yourself, right? Reinvest yourself and make yourself really care about the work, right? Because a lot of people, they just do the work, and they just do the work to do the work, and they're like, okay, you know, doing that little crusty old man, right? You don't want to be a crusty old man, right? You want to be a fresh old man, right? You want to be an oji-san that's like a ripe orange, right? Like still got it, still got the juice, right? And most importantly, at the end of your life, you want to be like Cheryl, dude. Okay, a 65-year-old woman who's exploring the world and says like, "Fuck it," you know, open to new experiences. You know what I mean, right? So, if you guys feel like you're stuck, feel like you're in a cycle that feels very unfulfilling, right? Change it the fuck up, dude. You know, just do one little different thing, right? And embrace that flow, okay? Because like once you start one thing and then another thing happens and another thing happens, and then you're like, whoa, I'm in a completely different place. I'm doing completely different things, right? And it could happen really, really quick, right? It will happen really, really quick, okay? So please, as an artist, as a creator, as someone who wants to make things, right? You have to sometimes step away from the canvas. Sometimes you have to experience new things, right? Sometimes you have to have the willingness to change, okay? I think we could end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed that video, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Check out my Princeton Patreon if you want to support the channel. Consider becoming a channel member and join that Discord. All that bullshit. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.